Good afternoon, everyone. It's time with African Talks with Eric, and today I'm going to bring you someone really, really great. But I hope you're all doing well. Let's take it right from the top. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It's me again, Eric Amoakwa-Boadu, and it's African Art Talks with Eric, a place where we talk about everything to do with African art, a place where we feature prominent artists from the Black community from around the world. And today is no exception. Actually, I'm so excited because this person I'm bringing on today, I've been following for a number of years now, and I've been chasing him for a whole year to bring him on. But today, finally, hey, I've got him. So I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to read his biography and then I'll bring him on. But before I do so, make sure you get your cup of coffee, tea, whatever will make you feel comfortable. And join us right now on live and also invite your friends so that we can talk about creativity from a Black perspective. That is what we're on about. We are here to promote Black creativity. Right, let's take it right from the top and I'll introduce my guest to you today. So my guest is called Isshaq Ismail, and he was born in 1989 in Accra, Ghana, and graduated from the GNAT College of Arts and Design in 2012. He is interested in representing and advocating for masses, inspired by the moods and settlements of people he observes on the streets of Ghana, but depicting figures that are universal and anonymous. His gritty, tenacious, nonconformist approach is evident in his thick, playful, and emotive impasto style application of paint. The vibrant, bold, and colorful paintings of Isshaq explore and investigate how the social, cultural, and political aspects of modern world impact identity. He has exhibited in both his native Ghana and internationally in New York, Miami, London, Dubai, and Cape Town. In 2015 and 16, Ismail was shortlisted for the Kenya Prize of Contemporary Art, and in 2016 was honored as one of the top 100 finalists at the Barclays Letelier Art Competition in Johannesburg. In 2019, he was shortlisted for the Guba USA Influential Art Award. And Isshaq is currently living in Ghana, Accra to be precise, and that is where his studio is. So guys, I'm not going to bore you too much. From my perspective, I would like Isshaq himself to come and tell us about him. So let him feel welcome when he comes on screen right now. Isshaq, how are you doing? You're right.
Yeah, hello Eric.
Hey, finally.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like it's really been a while.
It's been like 1 year, isn't it, since I started chasing you up for a time to speak to you on my program.
Yeah, it has. Like, sometimes it's back and forth, sometimes with work and also it's also very important for it to happen organically. So I guess this is the right time. And yeah, thank you for having me.
You're perfectly right. You're welcome. So the time has to be right, and now is the right time for us to talk about Isshaq Ismail. Have I got your surname pronounced correctly?
So it's Ismail.
Ismail. Great.
Yeah.
Ismail. Names are really important to me, and it's good that I get it right. So let's dive straight in. Let's take it all the way from the beginning. I know most artists have an instinct that they've been artists since birth. Is that the same case for you? Did you have that inkling right from the onset?
Yeah, of course. For me, art has always been organic. For me, growing up, when I decided to I realized I could make drawings organically, and from that point, that's why I started understanding that there is a talent and it needs a certain kind of I need to hone the talent. So yeah, I've always had that understanding growing up, and it came organically, naturally for me. Yeah,
that's amazing, amazing.
yeah.
So was it which part of Accra did you grow up in? Was it in Nema? Was it?
No, so I lived most of my life in Tema.
All right,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, and one thing about Tema is, like growing up in Tema, it was kind of everyone to himself.
Yes.
And there weren't a lot of artists around. And I remember the only artist very prevalent, the art that was prevalent at that time was the people working on the roadside. So there was this guy called Famous. He used to make signboard. At that time there wasn't even this digital printing and all that.
Yeah.
They were just making everything with their hands to draw if let's say if you want a poster for an event, it will basically be designed like by their hands.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. They were just on the streets and making this kind of work, and that was what it was in vogue. Making signboards for like barbering shops, like saloons, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that was where I was going for. I was going to kind of take inspiration. Yeah. So yeah.
That's really good. That's quite interesting as well. And in terms of schooling, did you actually have to go through formal education in primary school, for instance? Did you have people commenting on your work, or did you have any teachers that inspired you?
Yeah, so like primary school, I remember I had this friend. It's called Richard.
Okay.
We used to have this. That I was one time I was a class prefect.
Hey.
And I took advantage of, we had this book, which was like, I think it's D. They've written like the number, the letter, the alphabet D on it. And it was very plain, very popular in the primary schools. I don't know if they still use it.
Right.
So since being the class prefect, I'll kind of collect a lot of these books and be making drawings, because it was just like a normal sketchbook. It's white, plain.
White, yeah.
So I was making these drawings with my friend. It's called Richard, and there was this kind of competition. You bring your work to school. He'll see. I also see his, and yeah. So it actually like started brewing from there. And I went to senior high school also in Tema, called Chemu Senior High School. That's where I did.
Shout out to all the Chemu guys, yeah. Chemu guys,
Chemu guys, and shout outs to all of them. So
right.
that's where I pursued visual arts.
Okay.
Yeah, in Chemu. So my time, even before I was going to Chemu, I had heard about GNAT. I had heard about GNAT from one of my early proteges called Kwame Osa.
Okay.
Because by then Kwame Osa was living in Medina, and my mom was also in Medina. So I used to go back and front. So let's say from Tema to Medina.
That's it.
So it was through those occasional visits that I met Kwame Osa in 2005. Right. And he introduced me to GNAT College of Art and Design. So before art school, I'd already made up my mind that before senior high school, I'd already made up my mind that I'll be going through GNAT after.
Oh, right. Okay.
School. Yeah. So
you made that decision, very early.
Because I knew about GNAT, and also I was also going back and forth from Tema to Medina to meet artists like Kwame Osa. I met Bismarck Deku. I met Ayi Mensah, I met Aziz, Amoakwa-Boadu. Right. So it was like a community back then. Yes. So I was always in Medina. The little time I get, I was in Medina.
You had to get some encouragement from and inspiration from fellow artists.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. And then you did enroll into GNAT. But in Africa, when you say you're going to be an artist, there's kind of like a cringe there, because they know that back in the days, for instance, there wasn't a lot of money in that field. So parents normally will push you towards the traditional subjects. Was that the case for you as well?
Yeah, in my case, it was quite unique because I'm coming from a Muslim background.
Yes.
And for me, there is this whole stereotype surrounding being an artist and art itself. Right. Yeah, and that conversation is political, so I don't want to get into it.
No.
So for me, I'm coming from a certain space whereby art became more like a tool to kind of like escape this whole solitude, So because it became a very great weapon for me to kind of escape this solitude. So I found solace in art. Yeah. Right. So and also looking at the environment at that time, like the geometric and biomorphic forms, and also learning the Quran at a very early stage, going to the Saturday and Sunday school called the Makaranta, where we learn how to read the Arabic and also write the Arabic language. And at that time, for me, subconsciously, I was kind of training myself to draw, because the Arabic language itself, the iconography of the Arabic language, it's a form of not it's
very
form
artistic, isn't it?
Exactly, like it's for me it's a form of art, because it's in the form of a text.
That's right.
So writing for me, it was and all those things later on that we realized that played a major role in our drawing prowess. So that's how my journey like into the art, like from childhood began, like, and that was the experience. Because, and of course they will not understand, like in a typical African home,
they'll never understand.
Exactly.
No.
But I feel sometimes,
or an engineer, or somebody, a lawyer, or all these traditional work areas, they push children towards that without realizing that they have their own creativity that they brought when they were coming to Earth, basically.
Of course. Well, you can't blame our parents, because they are more like the gatekeepers for us. So they always the worst for us. So sometimes at that time, for me, I wouldn't blame them. And also, they didn't really understand what art was, because there weren't a lot of examples. Like in my case, in my community growing up in Tema, apart from Wisdom, who was a sign writer working in those days, I also used to have one guy. His nickname was Rider. He was also a painter. And there were few examples. So it was difficult for our parents to kind of pinpoint that, okay, this one has made it, this one has made it. So okay, my child could also make it. So that's the situation they found themselves in at that time. So it's understandable.
Very understandable. Very understandable. So let's talk about your time at GNAT. Basically, you are in the midst of artists. You are now doing what you like. What really inspired you in your time within GNAT? Did you have any mentors over there, teachers that you want to mention?
So my time in GNAT was extraordinary. So I went to GNAT in 2009.
Right.
And I graduated in 2012. And at that time, when I went to GNAT, we went to kind of inherit a certain kind of educational, like a certain kind of pedagogy. This pedagogy was like, let's say 80% practicals and 20% theory. So I am coming from a background whereby the practical aspect of art making was very dominant.
Right.
And at that time, of course, I met a lot of artists, like guys like Juwo Ekulu,
that's right,
Ebenezer Bruce, Edem Dedi, Senna Tuesday. And like these are guys who are all like my colleagues.
All the way from that time.
Exactly. They are practicing now. And Kwesi Botwe was my senior. Colenius. When I went, Rufai was also my senior.
Was Patrick there as well?
Kwesi Botwe?
Patrick, did he go to GNAT as well?
No, Patrick didn't go to GNAT. So Patrick, he went to Winneba.
Right.
So, but of course, it's the same ecosystem.
It's the same ecosystem.
Yeah. But Patrick was in GNAT. Yeah.
Good. So Kwesi Botwe and the rest were all there.
Exactly, they all were there. So at that time, we had very powerful lecturers like Sellers, who taught us landscapes. You have Desby, may he so rest in peace. Sellers too, may he so rest in peace. Desby took us through figure drawing, and Sellers took us to landscapes. Mr. Mark Kwe took us through
I know Mr. Mark
Kwe. Took us through, like, he was with a Mark's project. You have to get it. I remember he would, when we first say, we'll go and bring this discarded basket for you to paint it. Still, like, very difficult.
I can imagine.
The weaving, you need to depict. Oh my God, Amoakwa, I'll never forget.
I'll be bringing you on the show very soon. Yeah, very soon. I'll be bringing you on.
Yeah,
I'll mention your name.
Exactly. We have a lot. We have Conscious, who taught us abstract painting. We have Mr. Delacroix, who taught us history of art. We have Awala, and I've forgotten his name. He taught us like textile design. So it was very broad. Like first year, you go through textile designing, graphic designing, like so many things. So in your final year, and you opt for either you want to go to the graphic design class or want to go to the painting class as your major. And I chose painting as my major in my final year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story. So viewers, today I'm speaking to Isshaq Ismail. I'm trying to get the surname right. But he is an artist that I've been looking forward to interviewing for a very long time. Today I've got him here and he's telling us about his life story. And I'll be showing pieces of his work. So stick by, invite all your friends on board. And if you have a question for Ismail or Isshaq, make sure that you put it in the comment box and I'll be more than happy to read your comments as well. Also do well to just say hello to me and I will give you a shout out. I'll pin your comments there as well. Right. So the days from the college, where your painting style the same as it is now, or have you evolved over time? Because I know that they would have got traditional ways of doing things.
Yeah, exactly. A lot has changed. For me, when I was in GNAT, before I even completed GNAT, I was thinking about how I could go full time with my practice, because for me, I believe it was very important, because at that time we had people who were working, the Bloody Glovers, the Larry O2s, the Agozos. These are precursors we came to meet, and most of them inspired us. And I also believe we also needed to bring our own vocabulary, visual vocabulary to the table. So when I was in school, of course, I was making, in school, you go through the system, you make realistic work and all that. But after school, you start thinking about how do you put yourself on the map? What is that unique vocabulary that you are also bringing into the arts world? So a lot of gentrification happened with my practice to get to where I got to now. So after GNAT, most of the earlier works, were very broad. So I was making portraiture, landscapes, still lifes, collages, and a whole lot. And also I was exhibiting at that time because I wanted to really put myself into the ecosystem and also understand the landscape of the art world. So we're exhibiting at hotel lobbies like African Regent Hotel, Novotel, Golden Tulip, and so to get the people's reaction of the work. Yeah, exactly. And I think it helped at that time, because through exhibition, people give you that feedback and you build upon it. So a lot has happened. A lot really, really has happened. So the major change was in 2016. When I had a break with my practice, and I was also thinking about how I could really, really narrow down my interest and also come up with a certain unique vocabulary that could be easily seen and remembered.
Yeah.
Because I realized there are proliferation of artists all over the world, and in order to be part of the conversation, you need a certain visual vocabulary, and that visual vocabulary for me has to be very honest. Beyond whatever that art comes with, your vocabulary has to come from the soul. It has to be very authentic. When it's authentic, no matter what happens, you'll still be making art. Whether you make money out of art or you don't make money out of art, once it's organic and it's authentic and it's unique, you can always make art. When the gentrification happened, when I narrowed down my interest, I was thinking about this grotesque characters. So how do I create these personified images, or let's say biomorphic figures, that will kind of translate people's emotions and moods. So and it of course when I started, it was the talk of time. I had people saying, "Oh, Isshaq, what are you doing? We feel your work has changed."
I can imagine.
It's playful now. Like, are you really, really sure? So, and for me, those feedbacks were all very important at that time, and one thing I also realized was that sometimes you don't have to listen to anybody. Trust me, at a point, of course, you should be open for criticism and people's opinions, but there are certain decisions, it has to come from the heart.
That's right.
So people gave their feedback and all, but I didn't listen to anybody.
And I like that, because you stayed very true to yourself. As you said, you had to be authentic to your own deeper calling, because you are the only one that sees that vision, of where you want to go and the style that you want to choose. But the question is, was it a challenge to you when people started commenting, sometimes maybe negatively, because they see other forms of artwork in Ghana. And I'm going to show you a style of artwork very soon. Yours is out of the norm. Come on. When Ghanaians are trying to paint pretty pictures, very lifelike pictures, you've gone to the extreme.
Exactly.
Was it a challenge?
Well, for me, it wasn't a challenge because at that time, when the gentrification was happening in 2016, 2017, I also kind of revisited my history of art books.
Okay.
You know, when I was in school, I didn't take that very seriously because I chanced upon the works of Jean-Michel Basquiat, Francis Bacon, and so many other artists like John Dubuffet and the rest. But I didn't really take time to kind of
study them.
Research. Yeah, exactly. So during the gentrification process, I realized that look, people have really pushed the boundary of their work, and it goes beyond just beauty. We are not talking about beauty. Of course, beauty is very subjective, but I feel beyond beauty, what is your interest as an artist?
Exactly.
So when those negative comments were coming, of course, I mean, I'm a human being. Sometimes some one way or the other might get to you because you feel like, oh, at first you were making this work which everybody was like happy about, very traditional, like like I wouldn't call it mundane, but I feel it was like people were kind of okay, no, because this is what you're making, that's what is in vogue, so you should also be making it. Of course, we explored works because as a young artist, you need to really build the vocabulary. So you explore and you make a lot of experiments. Exactly. Yes. So people's comments for me, I kind of turn the comments into a certain healthy inspiration because I felt that look, if I hadn't gotten this comment, that means I hadn't done anything. So the comments for me made me realize, look, you are doing something. Because if no one has said anything about it, you need that. People should say it's not nice, or you don't need nice comments. People should tell you this is ugly. This is not nice and all that. So that for you to be able to kind of leverage on that. So that's what I did.
Good. And in doing that, you did that really, really well. There's a comment that has come in. Let's try and read it. So a comment from our own senior brother Benabe, says, wow, every artist is really unique. Isshaq has come a long way in all areas. He's a cool guy. All the very best. Thanks, Eric, as well. That's amazing. I know you know Brother Ben already.
And let me tell you a story about Benabe.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Benabe, like a huge mentor. So when I was in senior high school, at that time, there was supposed to be a studio visit. So they were going to Benabe Studios.
Okay.
So at that time, and look, I thought I was the best visual art student and I should be selected to go see Mr. Agbe in the studio at that time. And I wasn't selected. In fact, I got really furious, and my colleagues that they selected, they came and Mr. Agbe gave them some postcards and all that. And how funny life is. Now, Mr. Benabe is a very good friend of mine. We have conversations and all that. So it's so ironic how sometimes life, how life sometimes can be. So shout out to Mr. Benabe. I'm a very amazing artist.
He's an amazing artist, a very good human being as well.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
There's also a shout out. Theophilus Ni Odai says hi to us as well. Hi, Theophilus. Hope you're doing well.
Hello, Ni. Yeah, amazing artist as well.
That's right. Ni is an amazing artist as well. So let's carry on. I'm going to show some of your pieces, and then we'll talk about them. I can understand why people react the way they react, but I know you've actually mastered your craft so well that your language speaks. And wherever I see that type of piece of work, I know it's coming from you. So these are two pieces, I think, from your early times, 2018-ish. Is that okay?
Yeah, these are from 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
These are from 2018. Yeah.
So I just want to understand how do you go through, what makes you paint such characters? What's the process? Yeah.
So in 2018, I became very much interested in collecting these newsprints which had informations like social, cultural, and political informations. Okay. So at that time, there was this banking crisis. I remember there was a gentrification with the banking system, and they had a couple of articles. So I used to go to the newsstand to kind of, for me, collect this newsprint. So it's a way of collecting and also documenting this information for the next generation. So, and also I was also using my identification card. So let's say the national health insurance, the one with the blue background, it had my national insurance card.
Oh, right.
Because for me at that time, you had this card, and when you go to the hospital, you couldn't kind of access the healthcare that you want. You still have to get money on you, which for me was very interesting.
That's
Also there was an article, if you look at the yellow portion of the work, there was an article on that I think that time Ghana was like 61 years, and
61 years, yes.
If you zoom closer, you see there was an extensive article on the health system. So
yes.
For me, collecting these images and also embedding them within this within my characters, for me, I felt they kind of really resonate, because once collecting this information, I was also looking at the hue and cry of the public. So people voicing out their sentiments on issues. So let's say with the banking crisis, people lost their jobs, and it was kind of very very chaotic. And for me, there was in as much as it was chaotic, I also saw a certain kind of possibilities with that. So basically, just these personified characters of people's sentiments at that time, and how I also embedded this documents, like, or maybe newsprint in them. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I was exploring with this piece. And you could see the Janos faces, together also. Yeah, exactly. Trying to kind of speak on this whole idea about people's emotions. And also I also felt we also had to be united at that time, in as much as whatever is happening. Yeah, so I was kind of exploring, and those was the earlier works. So very experimental, and because I thought I hadn't really arrived at the vocabulary yet, and so.
And these two are also part of the journey of experimenting as well, is it?
Exactly. The next one was actually the first work I actually made, and also seeing how I could play along with these biomorphic forms or biomorphic figures. And also because at that time, for me, I was very young with it was the ideas were very young, and of course you could see I was also trying my best to come up with this unique iconography, because I wanted something that was very fresh. In as much as it was fresh, I was also thinking about composition wise. How will I play with the superimposing and juxtaposition of these images, and let's say this overlapping and all that, and turning the images upside down. And also having I started introducing the detached body parts, as a way of also exploring this whole human figure. So it started with the headshots, the headshots, it has different variations, like the profile view, the side view, the back view. Then I started adding the hand straight to the torso level. So also with the color system, I was also thinking about how I could be very very complex color system. Let's say if you're in art school, they say some colors should complement each other. That's for me. That you could kind of subvert that. You could actually use colors that don't complement each other, and it brings something very different here.
And I think you've achieved it really well. Let's look at the next pieces, for instance. Were these in following on from there? You constructed pieces.
Exactly. So that followed from 2018, entering into 2019.
That's right.
So it was actually 2019 that I also began to also explore more on, normally you could see their characters like on a color filled background. Because I was also thinking about my interest in photography. Let's say if you have a DSLR camera and you are taking a photograph of someone, let's say like a portrait shot, it gives you the ability to kind of focus on the image and also blur the background.
Blur the background, that's right.
That was a philosophy I was kind of also playing along with. And also with the characters, I was also looking at, if you look at the first one on the extreme left, it's just a profile view.
Yes.
Sorry, a front view.
Front view,
and the middle one is like a profile view, and the third one is like a three-quarter view. I was also playing along with that variations, because let's say in our school doing portraiture lessons, we went through all those variations of the faces. So I thought it would be very interesting to kind of explore on that. And also as human beings, you know, that expression also, you know, it's kind of very prevalent in our day-to-day activities. Let's say being in the public transport, you could see different angles of people, and also sometimes people's emotions, the way they express it, you know, it's in different angles. And also playing along with the idea about these bold eyes and the teeth, and also the closed mouth and all that. Yeah, so just basically trying to explore with shapes and forms, and also how do I also deepen my interest in this whole semi-abstract impressionism kind of technique here. So yeah.
So you've just mentioned semi-abstract impressionism. Is that a style that you give your type of painting? What would you call your style?
So I dub my style as infantile semi-abstract.
Okay.
So the infantile, and also with this naming of the work, I was also inspired by, you know, the Cobra art movement, the art brat by John Dubuffet. You know, people, it's also interesting to come up with to coin a name for your technique, you know, because you are also coming to add up something to history. So it was also interesting when I came across different movements, you know, like the Cobra art movement, the especially with the art brats, you know, I felt it's a form of like outsider art, and I can really kind of resonate with that, because they are making a certain kind of this personified characters, and also you know, they are non-conformist, and for me, I like that.
That's the question I have for you. I was going to ask you, since you brought it up, let me bring it up. I mean, are you kind of like a rebel? I mean, you've broken every rule in the book. In Ghana, for instance, or in our school, when let's say you're painting a portrait, for instance, you have taught how to draw the eyes to look like real eyes, the teeth, everything. You've broken, first of all, form and shape. You've broken the color scheme. You've broken. Are you kind of like a non-conformist, as you said?
Of course, I'm a non-conformist, because I believe rules are meant to be broken.
I love that.
Because when you don't break the rules, you don't question the rule.
Exactly.
So that's why even in a country, there will be rules and regulations, but there'll still be some bad nuts.
Please repeat. Rules are meant to be broken, and when you don't break the rules, you do what?
When you don't break the rule, it's like the rule doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And the rule becomes obsolete, because the rules are meant to be broken. In my opinion. So I was also looking at how do I kind of subvert to that whole idea about portrait making.
Yes.
You know, and also what beauty actually is, you know. So those are some of the philosophies I was inspired by.
Beautiful. And I think you've done it so brilliantly. Your language, your art language is so unique, and it's wherever you see it in the world, and it's universal as well. It's not just type of like an African thing. It's very universal.
Exactly. And sometimes I believe as a creative, you have to be very intentional with your interests, because there are proliferation of artists all over the world, and in order to be different, it's your visual vocabulary that could identify your work from another artist's work. And sometimes you shouldn't get intimidated by anybody's work, because sometimes you feel like, oh, because let's say you are someone is making, like, let's say, installations, and you are making paintings, you feel you are left out. No, the art world is a bigger space for all of us to occupy.
All of us.
And at the end of the day, for me, I believe it's also very, very important to kind of unlearn and also relearn.
Okay.
You know, there is this quote by Alvin Toffler, you know, and I quote, the illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read, will not be those who cannot read and write, but rather those who cannot learn, unlearn, and also relearn.
Relearn.
So,
that's right.
yeah, because it's very important. Sometimes when you learn, you have to unlearn and also relearn. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because we are programmed a certain way, isn't it? From birth, it's like we're taking so much information and we're not allowed to even explore the earth on which we've come in our own way. So you're very right in saying that we have to unlearn, relearn, unlearn, relearn and do what?
No, you learn.
That's right.
You unlearn and also you relearn.
And then you relearn. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the only way you can be authentic.
Exactly. And that takes courage, because sometimes it's very important to also believe in what you are doing, because the belief factor, in as much as there is this whole saying that preparation means opportunity.
Oh, yes.
But if you don't believe in it, it doesn't manifest.
It doesn't. It wouldn't.
Yeah, believe for me, you have to be so confident that.
That's right.
Forget about the criticism, but forget whether you are famous, you are not famous. You have to believe in your work. And once you believe in your work, that's the law of attraction. The universe also embraces that. Yeah.
Hey, I'm on the same wavelength with you. I love what you're saying. Right. Yeah. So greetings from K to K. Hey, Senior, good afternoon to you as well. And then Theophilus says that, wow, that's my boss. You keep inspiring me. He's one of the honest artists that I've come across with. Thank you very much for your advice and encouragement. That keeps me going. So that's Theophilus. Thanks, Theophilus, for your comment.
Thanks for the compliments, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment.
What you're saying means a lot to myself, to the artists out there, those who are watching us, and those who will be watching this video later on. I think as an artist, confidence is key. You believing in yourself and your work is really, really, really important.
Yeah, it is, because sometimes you get to a position whereby you feel what you are doing it's not good enough, but that's a lie. You know,
that is a lie.
Once you start believing in what you do, it grows into something bigger.
That's right.
Right, and you should also constantly be thinking about how you could be radical with the work as well. Yes. So let's say if you are making, let's say you are using acrylic paint on canvas. You need to also start thinking about how I could kind of expand the work. So what happens if I move from acrylic paint on canvas to, let's say, charcoal?
Yes.
You know, there should be that possibility with the work. So yeah, and you have to also allow room for accidents to happen.
Basically, even if it's an accident, it's a form of art.
Exactly, because it's image making. So what's the essence of you trying to show your skills? No disrespect to any artist, but I feel sometimes it's not about showing your skills. Yeah, it's about making a lot of decisions, you know, mistakes with the work. Yeah,
exactly.
Because we are all skillful. Everybody is skillful.
Yeah, purposeful mistakes, basically.
Yeah, everybody is skillful.
Everybody is skillful. Everybody's skillful. I'm going to show a video so that we now start talking about your process. So let's have a look at this video, and then we'll carry on.
Okay.
achieve. Let me add myself to the stream. And we just want to understand, some artists do have dreams. Others, look at pictures to get inspiration and all that.
Yeah.
How do you come up with your concept before you actually even paint them? What's the whole process?
Yeah. So for me, I believe drawing is the etymology of painting, and it's also very vital when creating, even with any field.
Yeah.
Let's say if you're an architect or any form
Any field
of
at all. Yeah.
You should have the ability to put down drawings on paper. So they become like a blueprint. For me, it's very, very important. Able to translate your ideas into drawings on paper. If it could be like drawings or text,
yes.
For me, that's the point of departure, because you can be thinking about very brilliant stuff,
yes.
But if you don't put a certain image or text on paper, the conversation doesn't push beyond.
Exactly.
That's my philosophy. I'm not saying that's what everybody to do, but for me, I sincerely kind of really, really believe in that. So mostly when I'm thinking about an idea, and it starts by, because I'm interested in emotions and moods, I mostly listen to the radio, watch the news, and also even scrolling on social media and all that.
Okay.
I see people's expression. So let's say if someone could call, let's say if there is a serial caller who calls on the radio and complaining about the government has done A, B, C, D, and stuff like that. Even with the voice, I could derive sketches from that.
You actually picture something.
Exactly. So that's where it starts. And also being in the public transport, observing people's expressions. That's where it starts. So once I get that, I develop drawings on paper, or sometimes with my iPad. I make a lot of drawings. For me, I have a bank of drawings. Like I make a lot of drawings. For me, that drawings become like a blueprint for my works. So in making the drawings, I'm also looking at using oil pastels.
Okay.
And sometimes ink. For me, it also reminds me of that childhood attitude towards drawing.
Yes.
So for me, the oil pastel does that for me. It puts me in that element of being a child.
Remember when we used to have crayon.
Exactly. So I have in my studio a lot of oil pastels and markers. Yeah, so making these drawings. So in making the drawing, they are sometimes made also, spontaneously or in a contrived manner. There are other cases whereby occasionally I use reference photos, but it's not like, it's like once in a while. But mostly I like to work from memory a lot, because working from memory is like you are creating from the void.
Exactly.
Exactly. So the thing becomes very, very organic. And authentic. So I want the drawings are made. And also I have a very specific size over the years that I've been using. I don't like to use so many sizes. So if I stick to like 3 or 4 different canvas sizes, for me, it's also very important, because the characters I create, they need to kind of inhabit a certain space. And that space that they are inhabiting, scale also plays a very vital role. So some of the characters, when they go onto a larger canvas, they fail.
True.
And sometimes when they go on a smaller canvases, they fail as well. So, and vice versa. So I have this methodology whereby when I make the images, even though the drawings sometimes could be like in smaller format, I can kind of
scale it up.
In your mind, and know, okay, this drawing will fit on, let's say, 60 by 50 or 70 by 60 and all that. Because for me, that process is also very, very important. And the memory does that for me. So once I get that, of course, I just make the drawing onto the canvas with a pencil. So once I make the drawing onto the canvas, then also with my color coding, I don't have any hierarchy when it comes to my color coding. They are very arbitrary, and also I'm not inspired by any moods or emotions or any events when I'm choosing my colors. Even though the characters could be inspired by the moods and emotions of people, even though the sketches could be inspired by the moods and emotions of people, with my color palette, I don't do that with that. I like it to be very spontaneous.
Right.
And for me, I can work with any color.
So by spontaneous, you mean as you are actually painting, that's when you choose the colors. You don't plan it beforehand.
No, I don't.
Okay, so spontaneously, you just
exactly. So I can walk into the studio, and when I have the drawings, I go like, okay. And one thing I also have at the back of my mind is, that's why, earlier when I said we have to be very intentional with our vocabulary.
Yeah.
Because being intentional with the vocabulary, you need certain strategies. So
exactly.
I have the black faces, I have the blue faces, I have the yellow faces, the green faces, the purple faces. These are all they are different identities that I want to create for them to kind of inhabit a certain space.
Okay.
So that the work will not become boring. So if you see a black face and you see a green face, for me it adds a certain layer to my vocabulary. And also I also try not to repeat my works. I have never ever repeated any work, because by so doing, it helps me to create different identities all the time. So they become like a series. They become like a series whereby they are kind of dialoguing with each other, and they become more like a constellation of art pieces. For me, that is also very, very important. So once the sketch is done and the colors are being introduced in a spontaneous manner, of course, I love texture, because for me, texture is also very, very vital.
And you do that beautifully. I can see that in the pieces. Yes.
Exactly. Building layer upon layer. For me, it's also a way to create a certain tactile and intimate feel once a viewer comes into contact with the work. So mostly that's how the process begins. And the layers are built upon, like, sometimes you could leave the work down for like a week or 2 weeks and later revisit it to build the layer. And the work begins.
Amazing. The work speaks volumes. The work speaks for itself. And I wonder how you achieve these huge paintings within a period of time. I mean, do you have any time span? Does it take a week to do, 2 weeks to do, or you can't really put a time on it?
For me, they are not time bound. But one thing I always pay attention to is, once I decide the work is finished, I don't touch it again.
All right. Okay.
Good. And that could be, it could take like maybe months, years. There are some works sometimes. There are even some works I've never even shown before. Like I have some paintings which are spray paintings that I've never exhibited them or never. So sometimes there are some works that you leave it there and you revisit it over time to kind of think through it and kind of reinvent the work. Because sometimes some of the ideas you need to kind of rebet them.
That's great. So you also had the opportunity to have a residency at Gallery 1957. Tell us about how it happened and the whole experience. How was it?
Oh, it was amazing. That was last year, and I've known Gallery 1957 for a while, and Marwan is actually one of our godfathers, and we really appreciate the work he's doing for Ghanaian artists. And it's great to see 1987 adding up to the conversation. So and during the residency, I was invited by the gallery to do that residency, and that was the first time I'm making a major solo show in my home country, that's Ghana. So that was also something very interesting. So I was in residency for close to like 3 months.
All right.
And,
wow.
And we had our solo show come to life.
That is amazing. Well done for that. And your solo show went really well as well, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, very, very amazing. Very, very amazing. Very,
That's
very
great.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So when you see your name in all these new articles all over the internet, how do you feel? How does it make you feel? You have Artsy, you have Arab News, Gallery 1957. Everyone just featuring your work.
Ifye Gallery, and the rest.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, honestly speaking, is first of all, I thank God for this exposure, because sometimes it's not easy, being an artist and being able to get your work being appreciated all over the world. So I give glory to God for that. And honestly speaking, sometimes I don't really pay attention to what is going on.
Exactly. Otherwise, you might be stuck into that. You get swollen headed.
Well, they are good compliments, but for me, I feel there is a bigger battle ahead of us.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the now. What is going to happen, let's say, a year or two from now, of course, it's very important. But when we try to scale it up, like let's say a decade or 2 decades from now, so that is what sometimes, not sometimes, that's what I mostly think about, because
yes.
It's so easy to be up there, but
True.
being consistent, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's too easy to be up there, but being consistent is not a joke. So I try to think about what will become of my practice in the next year. Exactly. And that requires a lot of planning and a lot of dedication and a certain form of resilience. Because in this space where we call the art world, there are certain unprecedented challenges. So you need to also understand that it comes with the work, but your long-term goal and the long-term vision is something you should constantly be thinking about. And for me, it's very important. So even with my show in Ifye Gallery this year, the solo show I did, also taking certain decisions with the work, breaking beyond the ideas of a work. I did a monochrome body of works.
That's right. Let me show some of them. Let's talk about So these are the works that you had, some of them basically at the Ifye Gallery.
Exactly.
It's still going on till May, isn't it? End of May.
End of May. At Ifye Gallery in Dubai. And amazing residency as well.
Good.
Dubai. We did at Dubai. We did a solo show, and and this body of work really, really means a lot to me, because it's also about moving beyond the idea about color and also the idea about composition. So with this work, you could see I've included nature in the works, this form of landscapes, this imaginative landscape. And this time around, you could see the characters have certain kind of demarcations with regards to the blue tone. So it's also very important to be able to take certain bold decisions with the work, regardless of what comes with it. Because you have to understand that, for me, it's very important for the work to kind of mutate, as opposed to the work being very still. So, and it comes with risks. Sometimes taking some of these risks, you can be scared, but hey,
you have to be very confident. If not now, then when?
Exactly. You have to be very confident with some of these decisions. So
and I think your work currently going on with Ifye Gallery is so bold. I like the colors, the monochrome approach. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces. Now let's move on. You did say that the images that you create become metaphors of people's sentiments and also serve as protagonists to represent the masses and advocate for the voiceless, not trash, but people, not remnants, but lives. Look closer and they will tell you their stories. I mean, that's such a profound statement. Can you expand on it a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, the idea about the metaphor is the personified characters, right? So let's say if someone is going through, let's say, emotion, let's say like anxiety, and let's say aspiration, maybe apathy, empathy. So I could have this grotesque image with a bold eyes, with maybe, let's say, the mouth wide open.
Yeah.
You know, that could become like a metaphor for, let's say, anxiety.
You
know, and I also kind of play along with, let's say, the bold lips, you know, and also the idea about having this white eye, you know, as a form of, let's say, aspirations, you know, or empathy, and yeah. So those are some of the strategies, and also the reason behind that quote, and also the images not being trashed by people, because very often, sometimes someone might see the characters and go like, oh, but these are not human beings.
True.
Yeah. And I want people to understand that they are personified characters, and that's my representation. Of course, life is not perfect, so I don't see why I should draw perfect forms.
Perfect images,
but but there is this whole element of this biomorphic figures prevalent in the work. So they're not trash, but they are people. So I want people to understand that they shouldn't look at these images as they are trash. Of course, I can't force it on people's truth,
people.
But I just want them to have that at the back of their mind, because sometimes people go like, oh, what's this? And and
they might think it's child's play, isn't it?
Pardon?
They might think it's child's play, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. Yeah, I want people to see that childlike fever in it, but they shouldn't kind of underestimate the characters, because these are images that comes from the soul. You know, these are images that I'm so confident about them, and I believe in these images. I believe in my vocabulary. So I'm here to make a statement and also add up to the artwork conversation. So people shouldn't see these things as trash at all.
And I think you've really achieved it. I mean, your language is unique, it's authentic, and there's nothing like this out there in the world. So you've achieved something really, really great. So in terms of giving back in society, thank you.
Yeah.
In terms of giving back in society, I know you have the Isshaq Foundation. You also have the Isshaq projects. What's the future for Isshaq?
Yeah, so the Isshaq Foundation, I've been doing, I've been collaborating with NGOs to use my art as a tool, you know, so even if you look at the statement, they become like a protagonist who kind of advocate for the voiceless.
Yes.
You know, so the images that I'm creating, the emotions and moods, sometimes, let's say, someone in the trotro might not get opportunity to kind of speak on that emotion, but I used my work. So the work in itself, exactly, the characters in the work become the protagonists to kind of represent those people. So with Isshaq Foundation, I've been collaborating with NGOs to do charity projects. So basically using my art as a tool to kind of, you know, inspire the younger generation of potential artists. So we you know, there's the NGO that I've been working closely with is Pevita Foundation. You know, shout out to Sheila Abuaje, who runs Pevita, and all the team. You know, everybody at Pevita Foundation really appreciate the support. So we've been doing a couple of projects from 2012 till now.
Wow.
But sometimes I don't post some of these things. I like it to be very quiet, because maybe eventually, like, I'm so glad you noticed that.
I did notice that. I mean, you're doing some work in community,
which I really appreciate. And I've also worked with Dream Hunt Foundation as well. And recently I collaborated with Africa Art. You know, David Omari, who is a Ghanaian running Africa Art, to the process of the painting. Some portions of the process we will be buying art materials for my alma mater. So let's say Chinwu Senior High School, for the visual art department. So we are as a way to kind of give back to society and also inspire the next generation of artists. And also hopefully the bigger dream for the Isshaq Foundation is to get a physical space in the future. So it's going to be a space whereby it is going to house my collection. You know, I collect myself, my own personal collection, like the Isshaq collection. We are going to have library. We are going to have a residency space, exhibition space, and this is a long-term project. This could take like a 2 to 3 decades. So no rush at all. That's the major goal. Like if you look at the like the foundation, Louis Vuitton, like the Center Pompidou. No, it takes a while.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of these things, for me, that's the long-term goal.
That's
But
right.
before that goal manifests, I would just collaborate with NGOs and also, use art as a tool to kind of teach the younger generation and also inspire them, and also sometimes offer words of encouragement and also become like a mentor to them, because some of the experiences that we've had in the arts world, we could kind of share with the potential artists coming up. And exactly, because it's also very important. Sometimes you need some of this conversation so that some of the mistakes that we made, the next generation of artists wouldn't make that mistake. So and some of this thing takes courage. It's not easy to be in that position to share with people and stuff. But I think we need to encourage that. Like, it's very important. Like, if you see what Amoakwa is doing with the daughter Juliet, Kwesi Botwe doing with his World Face Studios, Colenos also coming up with Studio 1990. I feel it's and a lot is happening, like, and it's very, very important.
A lot is really
happening.
Yeah. Especially in Ghana, there's that wave of artists around your age group or within that era who are really pushing the frontiers of African art to the rest of the world. What advice would you give up and coming artists, now that you're talking about it, to let them also take it seriously? Because you never know who we are inspiring to this afternoon. There are a lot of people watching us and would like to also pursue it professionally. What's the advice you give to them?
First of all, you should ask yourself certain questions. Do you really, really want to become an artist? Because for me, sometimes I understand, sometimes with what is happening, people could get tempted and go like, oh, these guys are making it so
money.
Exactly. And once you have that mindset of going in to go and make money, that is a failure.
True.
Of course, someone also argue that, look, they all have their long-term, short-term goals and long-term goals. Everybody want their like, but trust me, that decision for me is a failure.
It's a no. Yeah.
Exactly. You need to question yourself. Do I really, really want to do this? Because I feel a lot of people don't question that. They just jump into it. Because when you question yourself, you begin to write down why you want to do that, and where you, and what you really, really want to do, what work, who will be your target audience, how do you look at it in the long term. And when you understand all this from the scratch, trust me, then you can say, I want to become an artist. Because if you don't do that, you can just jump into it. And what happens if people are not buying your artworks?
You get discouraged.
You get discouraged because you came in for money and the money isn't coming. And of course, I'm not trying to negate the importance of money in art. Of course, art is not about money, but you need money to make art. That's the whole irony. So money at a point plays a major role to kind of facilitate your practice and all that. But that shouldn't be
everything.
It has to be less commercial. So the advice I'll give them is, you really, really interrogate your own self and ask yourself, do I really, really want to become an artist? Because beside anything else, preparation is the key to success.
That's it.
So if you don't question yourself and all that, how well will you be prepared to come and face the battle ahead of you? So they should really question themselves. Sometimes it looks very trivial, asking my own self, do I really want to become an artist? It might seem trivial, but trust me, if I need to go back to my younger self, I would have done that exercise on myself.
On early. Very great advice. Very great advice. And that's a comment from my wife there. Says, great job, gentlemen. Marie, thank you.
Thank you.
It's really important. The advice you've given, I think, is very well taken. And we thank you so much for this afternoon. But before you go, if we really want to contact you and get a piece of your work, or even just interact with you, I'll put your social media handles there. And I guess you're happy for people to get in touch with you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And also thank you so much, Eric, for what you are doing for artists.
You're welcome.
You are adding up to the conversation, and I believe history is going to remember what you are doing. Because in as much as we are creating, we are making the work as creatives, we need some of these conversations, and you dedicating your platform for us to tell our African story. Trust me, it's so inspiring, and I would say
that.
congratulations and big ups for what you are doing, and keep it up, and hopefully this will translate into something major in the future. And
amen.
Amen. Welcome.
And I hope this is not the last time that we'll be coming on this platform.
Sure.
Really, yes, it wouldn't take another year to get you.
I know sometimes I can be a little bit recalcitrant with regards to reach.
That's fine with me.
But trust me, I'll definitely make it a point for us.
And I appreciate the fact that you do respond to messages when I text you and all that, which is really, really good. You are quite spontaneous in coming back to me. So I know you're busy. So definitely we'll see you another time. But thank you so much. Everybody, let's say thank you to Isshaq. He's doing an amazing job, and we'll follow him. All the best, Isshaq.
Yeah. Okay, you too. Thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Great. So that was Isshaq right there. What an amazing journey. What an amazing story. His works are amazing. So once again, if you want to get in touch with Isshaq, just go on his social media handles as I've displayed over there. Go on the internet, type his name, Isshaq Ismail, and definitely he will come up there because he's so famous. I can't imagine that you won't find him online. Guys, do well to also follow me on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Every single Saturday, I'll be bringing you someone from the Black community who is a creative genius, and we'll have a discussion about their journey. So just go on YouTube, type in African Art with Eric, and I'll come up. Subscribe and share the link with everyone, and you'll see me right there. So Chuke says thank you. So thank you, Chuke, as well for joining in the conversation. So we're going to round up. But I want to say have a brilliant Saturday. Have a nice weekend. And next week, I'll be bringing you another creative genius. Have a nice day.